Okay, so my capital budgeting simulation, I ended up with an APV of 533. My overall revenue was mostly generated by retail, followed by production, and then licensing. That is all for revenue. My operations was mostly profited by licensing, then a lot less by production and retail. Now, if you look at project details, it'll show all of the previous projects that I've invested in and all of the ones that I had not that were available to. So say we click on the toddler doll accessory line. So this one had a fairly low risk, and if we scroll down to net income, it gradually increased, which is what you want. So it never started negative or anything, it never dropped, it never stayed stagnant, it gradually increased every single year. If we click on the next one, this one was a lot higher of a risk, and the project discount rate, that is one of the reasons why. So it looks like the payback period here was pretty high, but the income overall was also high, and the internal rate of return was also very high, which is great. This one seems to show also a positive net income, and also increasing pretty decently. So this is also a good investment. Now if we go down to this one, the Dolls of the World, this one was also high, discount rate also high. I definitely could have messed with this a little bit, gotten my numbers a little higher just by lowering the discount rate. Payback period on this one's also a little bit risky. This number isn't as high as probably wanting. This number is fairly high, the IRR. The higher the better on that one. And this one has an increasing income rate, just like it should. So meaning it was good choice. Starts out a little slower, then gets a little higher come the later years. As you can tell, a common trend I chose in this project was choosing high-risk projects. It seemed to sometimes seem a little extreme in the beginning, maybe losing money to start off, or the payback period is a long ways away. But every single time when I would go to project updates, almost all of them had a lot of benefits or greater than expected, or it performed in line with expectations, things of that nature. There were very little times where I found things like unexpected quality problems cause revenues to fall short. That didn't happen a lot, so maybe it was luck. Maybe it was just, taking the risk and receiving the benefit. But my NPV wasn't super low. Could have been higher, definitely. And that's probably due to the fact that I didn't do as many low risk projects as I could have. 90% of mine are high or medium. This one's not as extreme. Payback period's a little bit lower. Project discount rate is a little bit lower. Again, that could have been adjusted to make things a little more higher here. This one did have a lower net income, but still steadily increasing, which is great to see. Let's see. Design your own doll. That one was also very high. Common trend. This one started off with a break even the first year, so made nothing off of this the first year, but then it did get a little bit better second year and overly tripled third year and kept going up, a little bit stagnant there, and then started increasing again. Children's accessory line. This one was also high. Like I was saying, one of my biggest mistakes was not manipulating the project discount rate. If you take it too low, the numbers are super dramatic and not realistic, but leaving it stagnant like this definitely didn't benefit me. I could have altered that for sure. This one again increased all across the boards, which is great. This one had an extremely high discount rate. Payback period still a little high, not super bad. And this one stayed a little bit more stagnant than expected, so maybe this one was not the greatest choice in investments. The virtual doll community, this one's payback period was pretty low. The PI was pretty high. The IRR was insane, mostly because you just invest in online. It's not a lot of continual cost, it's just upkeep of the virtual online website. This one started raising fairly decently across the board. I would say that one was a pretty good investment. Definitely could have made it better. The film, those are one of the things you put in very little, and it doesn't take long to get any back. This one does show, though, that I broke even after first year, made some first year and broke even, so this looked like a good idea from the beginning, and in the end turned out to be a bust. It helped the first year, and then it was nothing, and it's better than losing the money, but also wasn't gaining. Also could be because the film didn't do as great after the first year, so there wasn't much purchasing, much going into it. If we look at the Tweed book series, this one has a lower risk, partially because the discount rate is lower. So it looks like the payback period was pretty even with everything else. PI's pretty decent, IRR is pretty high. If we scroll down to income, it is a fairly stagnant, not much of an increase over the years income. This one, again, I would say is probably not the greatest choice. I mean, you're getting something, but nothing's really changing. If we go down to the children's magazine, this one was a low risk. Nope, this one was a high risk. Computer was a little slow for a second. The PI is a little questionable. If we go down to net income, this one's going pretty good. It jumps significantly almost every single, especially from this year to this year. Significant jumps. And if we go down to the video game, this one was a medium risk. IRR was through the roof. Payback period's not bad at all, pretty short. If you scroll down to net income, this one again stays pretty stagnant and trails off. Not awful to be hitting break even, but also not pleasant because you're not making anything. So overall, I definitely could have made better decisions. I definitely could have gotten a higher APV, especially by manipulating that discount rate. You didn't have to invest in all or many, especially with the limited budget. This is just showing my ending cash balance, which, as you can see, kind of stays a little stagnant, ups a little bit as the years go. So Mine ended in 2014. With an APV of 533, revenue started at 245.75 and ended at 351.06. So pretty big jump. Did definitely make revenue. If you look at operation income, 22.6 all the way to 43.41, definitely a decent jump. And net income went from 13.56 to 26.04, over doubling. Now if you look at the actual versus forecasts, in every single one, the actual exceeds the forecast, which is great. That's something you would definitely want to see. And everything is increasing here. So overall, it is just vital to look over what every single project could possibly bring into you by looking at these numbers, how long it takes to get the money back that you're putting in, and the discount rate, which significantly changes numbers. After looking over these multiple times, I realized I definitely should have manipulated that when I didn't. Having a higher NPV, looking at really high IRRs, having PIs of greater than 1, and just overall making sure that your net income is not staying stagnant, not at zeros, that it is definitely increasing year by year. That would be your best bet in trying to get the overall APV to be as high as possible.